Here's another op-ed. This in the New York Times today. It's titled "A Christian Nation Since When?" by Kevin Cruz. And he points out that prior to the 1930s, prior to FDR, Americans pretty much, we never thought of this country as a Christian country. We didn't talk of ourselves religiously. It didn't say "In God We Trust" on our coins. It didn't say, we didn't have a national, Pledge of Allegiance that mentioned God. None of that stuff. And then the Great Crash happened, and people started openly dissing Republicans and corporations and saying, somehow Herbert Hoover and the fat cats have something to do with this. And so business, the United States Chamber of Commerce and the National Association of Manufacturers, two of the largest contributors to presidential politics, back in the 30s and 40s, they got together with generous donations, again, writes Kevin Cruz, from Harvey Firestone, Conrad Hilton, E.F. Hutton, Fred Maytag, Henry R. Luce, the Fred Kochs of their, or the David and Charles Kochs of their time. And he writes, in a shrewd decision, these executives made clergymen their spokesmen. The most important clergyman for Christian libertarianism, though, was the Reverend Billy Graham. In the early 1950s, Mr. Graham supported corporate interests so zealously that a London paper called him the big business evangelist. The Garden of Eden, he informed revival attendees, was a paradise with, quote, this is Billy Graham, no union dues, no labor leaders, no snakes, no, quote. He called any government restriction on economic behavior, any regulations, basically, socialism. In 1952, he went to Washington. He recruited members of Congress for his revivals. He dragged Eisenhower into this thing. He got so involved in Washington in 1953, the first week of February in 53. On Sunday morning, Dwight Eisenhower was baptized. That night, he broadcast an Oval Office address for the American Legion's Back to God campaign. On Thursday, Ike appeared with Mr. Veride at the inaugural National Prayer Breakfast, the very first one. On Friday, he instituted the first opening prayers at a cabinet meeting, first time they'd ever prayed in a cabinet meeting. The Pentagon, State Department, and other executive agencies quickly instituted prayer services of their own. In 1954, Congress added "Under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance. They put "In God We Trust" on their postage and put it on our paper money. In 1956, it became our official motto. All this happened over about a 20-year period, from the mid-30s until the mid-50s.